Amazing.
So what I think you're feeling there, I think he feels the need for speed.
I feel like you're gonna get a lot of this done in the next hour.
I feel like I got nothing. I haven't responded in 10 seconds, so I can't come back. Yes, I do.
Ever said that to Dan before?
It's funny actually. You say no one said that to Dan before. It kind of brings up a funny story. So you spend all your time trying to be a fighter pilot, and you become one, and you think this is awesome, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like totally uncool to get involved with any of the cheese. So, any quote from Top Gun, no, of course you do that. You're a fighter pilot, and you can't do that. If you told anyone on a night out you're a fighter pilot and the guys heard you, they'd rip you apart. Yeah.
Is that how you used to chat girls up though? I bet you did.
Well, it was the reverse lunge first. That always caught the attention, followed by the caterpillar, and then say it.
Love it.
People wouldn't believe you. You talk to girls and like, oh yeah, I'm a fighter pilot. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Shut up. That's a lie. Because they think you're making up. So you came up. I'm sure it's the same with all sorts, but you hear it. We used to, me and a mate. He would paint the red stripe and I did the white stripe on lighthouses, or the black and white stripes of a zebra crossing, or we designed. In fact, one of the best ones, I feel, for anyone listening to this pod who may have felt they've heard this story, I apologize to you. We used to tell them we designed firework displays, and we were in town. We'd be in a nightclub or whatever, and we were in town because we'd been working all day, and there was a massive fireworks display happening in the town centre the next day at like 7:00. So I can imagine how many people
show up for it.
Oh yeah, probably. There must be people who've turned up to fake firework displays, all because they wouldn't believe we're a fighter pilot. So, I guess there's a message in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
But you did actually do Top Gun training, right?
Yeah, I was super lucky. So in 2013, I'd been on the front line. When we say front line, I guess it's not old school in the trenches, fighting. Front line means you're on an operational squadron that can be called up to duty at any point. So in the UK, the aircraft I was on, we had a training squadron to teach new pilots how to fly it, and obviously that would have experienced pilots on there teaching you guys coming through. We had one squadron that was a squadron, not actually number one. I'll talk about that one in a moment. But we had a squadron that designed with research and development, so new tactics, new weapons, all this kind of stuff, which is super exciting because they get all the intelligence of how the enemy would be using their equipment or some of the stuff they're up to, and then we would come up with ways in which, should we ever see them, which luckily we haven't seen them all, and I hope we never do, but it would be countering how we're going to do it. I guess it's much like rugby, Mel. You guys would have run plays right against different teams differently to make sure that you'd win a couple. So we had a squadron for that, and then we had 5 what we call frontline squadrons, and they would be probably about 15 to 20 pilots in each squadron with about 10 to 15 aircraft, 150 engineers, maybe 200 engineers, and they were dedicated to just make sure that unit was a fighting unit ready to deploy at any point. So that's what we would call as a frontline tour, and that you may go away. Some of the guys did, or we do quick reaction alert in the UK where we intercept the Russian jets that come over, or we'd go on major exercises all around the world. So I did that for probably about 5, 6 years. And then I was super lucky. There's about 150 pilots, 200 pilots, and they select 4 every year to go to the weapons school, which we call the Qualified Weapons Instructor course because we're Brits and we like to be super boring. And then the US Navy do call it, well, they actually call it the Fighter Weapons School, but we colloquially all know it as Top Gun, which is what the film in the 80s was based off and what the documentary just a few months ago is based off as well, Top Gun 2. And how
accurate is the film?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's more a documentary than a film. Especially the motorbikes and the good-looking girls. I mean, how accurate's the film? Yeah, I mean, there's stuff in there that you wouldn't do for real. Of course, you've got to put a bit of Hollywood in there, but in this day and age, like with most films, it's got to be accurate because so many people know so much about everything now with the internet, with experiences, and we're exposed to so much that to keep us entertained, it can't be too far away from the truth, where people will be like, "Oh, that's rubbish." And especially with a film that has to be so technically accurate because it's held in such high regard, right? If you ask people what's their favorite film, a lot of people in their top 10 will put Top Gun, well, 1 now, isn't it? But the original Top Gun in there. So there's a lot of people who would be watching that going, "Is this going to be right?" And those jets, they were flying the F-18, which is what the US Navy and the US Marine Corps use, and yeah, albeit they're probably a bit closer than some of the rules we had for training. That is like it is. The dogfighting moves, that's exactly how it is. The low level is exactly how it is. The mission set of getting in, when he's in that valley and he's below the weapon systems, if you guys are ever walking in the Lake District or up in Scotland when you guys go there at the end of the year,
I
there'll be
used to live
jets.
in North Yorkshire. I grew up in North Yorkshire, and we used to have fighter pilots.
Yep.
They looked like they were literally going into the hill.
Yeah. Well, we would fly around at 250 feet. So what's that? About 70 meters off the floor is our normal height. And then in certain areas, you could bring that down to 100 feet, so 30 meters off the floor. And, we're shifting. We're doing about between 450 and 550 miles an hour at that height. And we would operate in multiples of 6, because 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. So if you flew at 420 miles an hour, 420 knots, it's called in flying, that's 7 miles a minute. And if you did 540, that's 9 miles a minute. If you're doing 610 miles a minute. So we're quite basic beings, albeit we're moving fast. We're operating in areas that makes our maths quick. So I know if I'm doing 540 miles an hour, I'm doing 9 miles a minute. That means, in 3 minutes, I will be wherever I need to be, and I know that I'm burning fuel at a certain rate. So if I'm going this fast and I'm burning this much fuel, I know where my fuel's going to be.
6 and 9 and 3 and 2 and 4.
Nobody.
Mel would have his calculator.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And
on that one, you just got me on that one.
But that's the thing, right? And that's the thing. Like when you got all this stuff going on, you've got to keep it as simple as it can. It looks super complicated, and it is. But when your capacity is limited to the fact that you're screaming, your body's screaming at you not to die, and you are scanning the horizon to pull up sometimes for big trees or ridges to make sure that you're going over them. Power lines, especially for helicopter pilots, is a huge issue. So you're looking at all that, whilst also the radios are going. There's guys out there trying to shoot you down. You're running in. So to the film,
but you got it. You didn't never get it wrong, because otherwise you wouldn't. God forbid.
No, you get it wrong all the time. Wrong all the time. Yeah. And that's the thing. Again, going back to that. A skill is only a skill performed under pressure. Yeah, but it's only as a skillful person is who can get something wrong and immediately fix it. And that's the whole thing. It's being able to compartmentalize the error and move on. Yeah. Because you're doing 9 miles a minute. You made an error. You spend 30 seconds thinking about it. You're 5 miles down the road almost. Do you know what I mean? You haven't got time to worry about that.
And so